365 Sports. One of our first big-time guests when we launched this show was Curt Schilling, Major League Baseball legend, and as a card-carrying member of Red Sox Nation, there's not going to be an interview I do this week that I'm more excited about, but we did talk to you that time, and thank you so much because you really helped us get off the ground, Curt.
Well,
and you were one of the ones who was there at the beginning, and we were able to talk to you.
You're still here, so clearly you did it right, and you're doing it right. That's cool, very cool to see.
Yeah, so look, we'll talk about baseball in a second, but you and I share a similar passion in that you're a World War II history buff. The World War II Museum here is the coolest thing you can go to, right?
Yep. So
and I've been twice.
Yep.
I've been twice.
So I just met someone who's a huge World War II buff who's never been there. I said, then you're not a huge World War II buff.
No, you're still an A-ball.
25 years ago, I was one of the founding board members.
Okay.
When it was founded, half my collection resides in the museum. I have a large World War II collection, which people that didn't like me called it a Nazi collection. They didn't understand that World War II is all-encompassing. But I was there 6 hours yesterday nerding out, and it's 5 times bigger than it was when it was built. And, people in New Orleans know it. And New Orleans, as everybody knows, was devastated by Katrina and is still trying to recover, and it hasn't recovered. A lot of people that left are still gone. And this is going to be a monumental week for the city, obviously with the Super Bowl. But, the museum is the number 1 attraction in the city for all the right reasons. People like us understand this. I was in Arnhem last September for the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Arnhem. Traveled to museums all over the Netherlands, Germany, France. There's nothing like this. This is by far and away the best tribute museum. I mean, you're talking about the cemetery above Omaha Beach and the Arlington Cemetery. There's some hallowed ground. And in Europe, there are cemeteries literally every couple miles in some of the occupied countries that you stop and you look at and you understand and you look at the reverence for the country. And it's almost, there's a feeling to me that people revere and respect America more outside of the country than in right now. And that museum is a living tribute. I met a 100-year-old veteran yesterday, talked to him for about 20 minutes, shared some great stories with him. But there's only 66,000 living out of over the 16.5 million that served. This is the last decade they're going to be alive. And the museum is one of the places that keeps their history alive. And I really believe it's on us to keep their memory. A lot of the current generation, and there's a knock on them and for all the things, but they're not being taught history. And our history is replete with bruises and black eyes and mistakes like everybody wants to, and which is fine. But also there's some enormous and monumental events that we were involved in, we as America, that changed the world. The world is different because of us, and I think in many ways it's a positive. And that museum keeps those alive and pushes those memories and is keeping those histories out there. And I think it's on us to keep that moving forward.
Well, I'm again, as a history buff, and I talk to my nephews or like younger people, and like I tell them these things, and like it just goes right over their head, and I'm like, well, I learned this when I was your age, and you're not learning it.
Well, they're not teaching it.
Yeah, this isn't like I don't get your video games. This is
it's one of the reasons why when you see kids on TV talking about how much they hate America, right? That doesn't make sense to me, but. A lot of it's not it's the education system that has horribly failed us and needs to be fixed. But it's also on us as parents. My youngest son's a United States Marine, and it's on us as parents to pass this along to our kids and not rely on other people.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what is your favorite World War II book?
Well, you know what? I just got done. So I have my mom taught me how to speed read when I was young. So I read about a book and a half a day. I just read a book called The Island of Fire, which was about the barricading and the Battle of Stalingrad in very intimate, intricate detail. I'm part of a 3-man group that owns a small company called Multiman Publishing. All of those Avalon Hill war games that you and I grew up with, I don't know about you, I did. Yeah. We publish those now. Okay. And so I make military simulations, and I'm the historical research guy for that. I've got about almost a 5,000 book library of books that I've read on military history. Island of Fire is probably just a phenomenal book, but I recently read the Truman biography.
Oh, okay, I haven't read that one yet.
Oh my! And I, as a card-carrying conservative, Truman is Truman. But it was a fascinating story, just a fascinating story of a guy that just grew up simple American and became president.
Yeah, I just read last year. I read In the Garden of Beasts, which is it's Eric Larson who did Devil in the White City, and it is about. And I'm blanking on his name because I'm talking to you right now.
Right.
The guy who was the last ambassador from the U.S. to Nazi Germany before they kicked us out. Right. And it is a fascinating story. Like Russians, like his daughter was sleeping with a Russian spy, and like all this.
The amazing thing about that historical text is that it really falls on the writer's talent. To be a book worth reading, because the history for us is fascinating in and of itself, but to be able to tell, to write in a manner that makes the reading, you can't put it down.
It's the human stories in the middle of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can look at it. Okay, so we got to talk Red Sox. First night when the Netflix documentary came on, I told my wife, who's a big sports fan, but I said, this is what we're watching until we fall asleep. And just going back through that again and the stuff that you guys went through, and to hear it from your own words made it it made my heart swell, because I didn't even realize how much. I knew that halfway through the season it wasn't going well.
Right.
But I never quite captured, I never knew how much in the clubhouse that you guys fought that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because the team the year before had really good chemistry and lost, and then it took. So did it take?
Well, you had some new guys like me who I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
The curse wasn't real.
Yeah.
It was a curse of talent.
Yeah.
And then you had guys like Kevin Millar, who's out there thinking, I don't want to be Bill Buckner. And so we had to get past that. And I was okay, because I never thought about that. I mean, you had guys like Shaughnessy who made a living out of the curse, and without the curse would have never existed. And when they talked about the curse and trying to get me to agree to the trade, I was like, well, okay, first of all, let's just not even discuss that, because that's not even on my radar. But I realized that it was very much a part of the fan psyche, and the fan psyche in Boston affects the team. And the media thrives on that. They love to call us frauds and all the things that went with that. But all of the things you didn't know about were a direct result of how good of a manager Terry Francona was. He didn't allow that to be a part of the public persona of the Red Sox. And, the seminal moment in the entire thing was when we lost 3-0, or we lost the 15 game, and then we were down 3-0 to the Yankees. We're standing in the clubhouse, and there's closed-circuit television, and he's interviewed, and he says, the question from one of the schmucks in the media was, what are you going to do? And he said, what do you mean? Like, what are you going to do? He goes, well, we're going to come out tomorrow and bust our ass. And it just blew me away, because it was really that simple. We're not down 3-0. We don't have to win 4. We got to win tomorrow. And to win tomorrow, we need to win the top of the first. And so we talked at the team meeting, and I said, we don't have to win the game. We have to win the inning, win the at-bat. If you make it out, make it a 12-pitch out. If you, and that lineup was so good at doing that. But as a pitcher, win the at-bat and all those things. And what happened was 25 that was an incredibly talented roster. For 8 games, we focused on the at-bat in the inning we were playing, and we didn't get beat. That and the fact that my wife got in a fist fight with Johnny Damon's girlfriend, and we were undefeated after that, was like the greatest story ever. Because you can imagine this, right? We're down 3-0, and I get in the car to go home, and that's the story my wife comes at me with. I'm like, wait, what? Like, Michelle Damon walks in, throws the scarf. Because, okay, back up. 2001, my wife made scarves for all the wives, right? 2004, she makes scarves again. Johnny's 0 for 20. Hasn't sniffed a hit, and we're down 3-0, and she walks into the wives' lounge and throws it on my wife's lap and goes, nice job these scarves did. My wife, you got bleepers on this, right? My wife looks at her and goes, well, maybe if your fucking husband used it, he wouldn't be 0 for 20. And they had to be separated. We didn't lose again. And then Johnny and I see each other the next day at the clubhouse, and we're like, looking at each other wide-eyed. He's like, nah, I don't know, dude. We just started laughing our asses off. And then we went 8-0.
Well, so. I mean, you were the idiots. I mean, that's what they called it.
Well, that was Johnny.
And that was Johnny.
Because Jason took offense to that.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, because he's definitely not.
Well, and we weren't.
Yeah.
For the most part, you had Wake and Jason, all those guys, we respected the game. We didn't want to look like we were disrespecting. Johnny was Johnny. Right? I mean, between the 9th inning last out and the start of the next day, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near him socially. But at 7:05, I want that dude in center field.
Yeah.
And that was that team. That was, you have to understand the different. It's a different locker room than any other sports locker room. 62 games, 181 days, traveling. Ups and downs.
I can tell that from covering different sports. Like, you go in an NBA locker room, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Does that still exist? The NBA?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you like walk in, and it's like they act like, oh, well, Lady Gaga will be out in a second to talk to you.
Right.
And that's how it is. NFL is a little bit different because there's like 53 guys, and it's kind of chaotic. But they're more like the baseball guys.
NHL's the nicest human beings in the world.
Yeah, they're crazy. Baseball, you guys like. What happened on Wednesday doesn't really matter on Thursday.
It can't.
Because not only can it not matter on Thursday, it can't matter on Friday.
Right.
Like you've got 3 games in a row. Like you can't.
You play Sunday night and you face the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball. Doesn't matter how it goes. You got Maddox and the Braves Monday at 7.
Yeah.
So you have to have no memory, or if you have a memory, you just don't play very long and you go out.
Yeah, Curt. Right before I let you go, I want to pitch my idea to you. Veterans Committee only picks the Hall of Fame. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I haven't really given that thought. I just know that the people currently voting aren't the people that should be.
Shrink, like the NFL has the best system. Well, shrink it up. And
here's the thing, though. If Ichiro's a great example. Whoever didn't vote for him should lose their ballot.
Yes.
If you vote for somebody that gets under 5% of the vote, you should lose your ballot because you're just voting for a guy you're doing a favor for.
Yeah.
And this is a legacy thing.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan didn't get 100% of the vote. Whoever didn't vote for him should have lost their ballot.
Yeah.
And things like, but I mean, and again, it's
I get that there are some people who ride the line a little bit,
right? But it's the wrong group of people.
But it's also should be based on eras, not on things, because the game changes, right?
Well, sure. I think there's some hallmark numbers. The 500 home runs. I don't know how much that's changed, but
300 wins for pitchers is different.
That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
But you look at 3,000 strikeouts in over 100 years of the game. There's only 20 some guys.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm all right with that, and because I'm a club, I'm a little biased. But the fact of the matter is, there are things that aren't going to happen anymore. Guys aren't. 200 innings is going to be monumental for a season now, and when people talk about statistics, the one I'm most proud of is in 01 I threw 306 innings. And my last 48 were my best. But that's what I was raised to believe. And these guys are being raised and taught differently.
Yeah. Curt Schilling, one of my favorite all-time athletes, here with me here on 365 Sports. Thank you, Curt. Back with more after this.